me share my screen and we'll get going. There we are. Okay. So today we're talking about, there we go. We're talking about grants and scholarships. And this is a presentation that I've given at a number of high schools in the area. So those of you who are not in the area, I'm sorry I can't get to your high school. I was at Somerset High School last week, and I'll be doing this same presentation at Prescott High School in Wisconsin on March 19th. All right, so this kind of tells you who I am, about my contact information there. These are some of the things that I do with my clients. So when I work directly with students, these are what I help them to do. Choose the right classes, find their purpose, do test prep and study skills help as needed, college and career assessments. We do essays from the brainstorming all the way to the final decision, talking about financial aid, help with filling out FAFSA, looking for scholarships, applying for scholarships. And I also offer special help for students who are gifted, are homeschoolers, have learning differences, or are athletes or finer performing artists. All right. So look at all the colleges I've been accepted to that my family can't afford. This is the problem that we have with a lot of students. Parents are thinking, you know, we'll find the money wherever you get in, just apply and we'll find the money. And that's not always, it's not always a realistic plan. So what we want to do is start scheduling those and looking for those scholarships right now as opposed to later. So there are scholarships that are available as early as 8th grade for some students. Most of them are for high school students, but not all of them. There are actually scholarships. I found one for a 5th grader last week. So there are a lot of options, and it makes more sense to look for scholarships now than senior year when you're really, really busy. So what is the scholarship search? The search is your personal campaign to gain free money for college. Unlike other types of financial aid, scholarships are often merit-based versus need-based. Some are both. The big money ones are going to be both. Scholarships can be awarded on the basis of interest, nationality, talent, background, and more. Billions of dollars of scholarship funds exist for high school students. That doesn't necessarily mean that each student is going to get $1 billion or even $1 million, but through a combination of choosing good colleges and doing a lot of work with scholarships, you can get a lot of your college paid for. Okay, so the first step is to make yourself competitive for these scholarships. Most of them have some kind of a grade floor, grade point average floor. They look for good test scores. Great test scores can help you qualify for automatic scholarships. They look for volunteer experience, they look for leadership experience, they look for strong letters of recommendation. The good news is that putting all of these things together means that you're also a very strong candidate for college, because these are the same things that college admissions officers are looking for in these, in your child as a candidate. So that was step 0, make sure that you're ready. Step 1, you want to create a scholarship resume. This doesn't have to be a very formal, pretty resume like you would have for applying for a job. This is just a list of the steps that you've taken to reach your goals. You're going to include all the classes that you've taken, extracurricular activities, jobs and volunteers, books you've read. One of the reasons this is important is, for example, if you're a fan of Ayn Rand and you have read The Fountainhead, there's a scholarship specifically for students who have read The Fountainhead. Portfolios of art or written work for creative writing scholarships or art-based merit scholarships. Videos of your athletics for getting athletic scholarships. Any organizations that you belong to, including professional groups, and this goes for parents as well, your major and or job interest. So if you are interested in being an electrical engineer, checking out IEEE, which is the professional organization for electrical engineers. They offer scholarships for a number of students every year. Physical attributes. So there is a scholarship available from the Tall Club of the US, which is based actually in Milwaukee. And if you're male, you have to be 6'4". If you're female, I think you only have to be 5'10" in order to apply for that scholarship. They also want an essay about what being tall means to me, and I believe grades and test scores as well. So illnesses, if you've had cancer, if someone else in your family has had cancer, there are a number of scholarships that are available to you. Ethnicity and nationality, the Sons of Norway, for example, offer a scholarship for students who are going to study Norwegian or who are of Norwegian descent. Other things that are interesting about you are going to be those hooks that get you into scholarships. Parents, employers, professional and social organizations. So if your father happens to be a chemist, you can go to the American Chemical Society and say, hey, do you have any scholarships for students? For dependents of members, grandparents as well. So for example, the Mensa Foundation Scholarship Program, of which I'm a judge, they offer a number of scholarships to everyone, but Mensa members and their dependents and their dependents' dependents are eligible for 5 additional scholarships. So in addition to the 26 or however many there are 5 additional that you can compete for. And so if your parent or grandparent is a member of Mensa, you're eligible for those extra scholarships. And don't forget about future plans. If you plan to take a gap year, if you plan to spend a year in the Peace Corps after graduation, if you plan to work on Wall Street, all of these things are opportunities that you have to get a scholarship. Step 2 is assemble your team. So scholarships are not won by student alone. Well, okay, they are, but they're not found by student alone. Your team should include your school counselors, your teachers, parents, employers. McDonald's and Burger King give away millions of dollars worth of scholarships to their employees every year. Any mentors you have through a university, perhaps, priest or pastor, many churches and congregations have scholarships for members of their congregation. Take a look at friends and your neighbors, because your neighbors don't know you're looking for money for college unless you tell them, hey, I'm looking for money for college. I mentioned here a scholarship club. So what a scholarship club is, getting together with your friends for a couple hours, one night a week, and eating pizza and hanging out, but also looking for scholarships. So the goal is to find 5 scholarships for yourself and 5 scholarships for the other members of your team, of the members of the club. And the reason for that is, say I am an LGBT student, and so I'm looking for LGBT scholarships, but my friend knows that I'm also really interested in engineering. My friend might actually start looking at engineering scholarships for me, and I had completely forgotten about that. Or they could look for LGBT scholarships for me, but they might look in a different way or in a different place and find things that I have overlooked or not seen. Step 3 is your scholarship search. So there are a number of ways and places you should start. Your high school website or counseling office usually has information about scholarships that are available to students in your area. Many, many local scholarships are available to kids at a particular high school or in a particular town or area, particular county. So those scholarships are have a limited pool, and therefore when you apply for them, you've got a greater chance of winning them versus a national scholarship. Neighborhood businesses could have scholarships available either for their employees or just for local students. Other local high schools and community colleges' websites might have scholarships that aren't listed on your own high school website. Being a good neighbor also means telling your counselor, hey, you know, this other high school had this scholarship mentioned that we don't have. We should add that to our list. Again, churches and religious organizations, service organizations, Lions Club, Rotary Club loves to give money to students. They really do. If you want to study abroad, if you want to go take a summer program, you have to go and do a presentation for the Rotary Club, and they just love giving money to kids. So that's a really good opportunity for you. Obviously, you want to go to your local Rotary or Lions Club. Again, professional organizations, and then online searches. So looking at online, first thing you do, you go to Google and you Google scholarships, and you get 5.8 million responses. The first page is all full of these scholarship aggregator sites. Okay, places like FastWeb, MeritAid, collegeboard.org, scholarships.com, CapEx, Unigo, Niche. All of these places are collecting information about scholarships, and then when you sign up with your information, you are giving them access to your information, and they will use that to help match you to scholarships that they have in their database. Pro tip here, it is a really good idea to make a separate email account just for applying for scholarships or for applying to scholarships and colleges. This email should be first name, last name @Gmail or whatever email site you're using, something very professional. And then all of that college information and all that scholarship information that will be coming in will come to that particular email. Therefore, important things from your friends or from your current school or your current teachers doesn't get lost in the swamp of information. Okay, so I want to point out a little bit here to RaiseMe. So raise.me is, social media search. Yes, looking for hashtag money for college or hashtag scholarship. A lot of companies are telling people about their scholarships on social media because they know that's where the teens are hanging out. So searching Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, LinkedIn, even Instagram. I actually have a whole Pinterest board myself of scholarship opportunities, but this is another place that you can look. And then for each website, every scholarship that you are matched with on one of these aggregator sites, you need to make sure that you research these before you start working on the application. Sometimes the scholarships are not being offered this year. Sometimes the requirements have changed. So you need to just check and see, okay, is this scholarship really still a thing? Do I still fit it? Even though, Unigo says it's a perfect match for me, have they changed? I don't know if that's really going to fit me or not. Look at the previous winners. Many scholarship sites also show you previous winners and give you an idea of what their background is. So look at those previous winners. There is a huge scholarship from the Coolidge Foundation, CoolidgeScholars.org, which is a 4-year full ride to any college you want to go to. They have a series of requirements for their applicants. But then when you go to look, it sounds pretty easy until you go to look at who the winners are. And the winners are really super high achieving kids. So that gives you more additional information. Not necessarily that you shouldn't apply to Coolidge, but make sure that you are in the running there before you spend 5-6 hours on an application that really isn't something that you're likely to win. So once you've looked through the aggregator sites, then what do? You Google keywords plus scholarship, and then set alerts. So your scholarship resume is a list of keywords. So you have volunteered with children plus scholarship is going to give you different results probably than volunteer scholarship or volunteer with children scholarship, all one search term. And then setting alerts is really important because that way you don't have to keep redoing this search over and over and over again. If you search for volunteer plus scholarship, you set a Google alert and they will send an email to you and say, hey, something changed in this search. Why don't you go check it out? Saves an awful lot of time. If you're looking for a way to organize all of this information, I recommend using Excel or some other spreadsheet. Just because it's a much easier way to keep track of dates and deadlines, and you can always add an extra column for, if you decide you're looking for something specific, you can add another column or another line very easily. Okay, scholarship safety. So this is another reason why you want to create a separate email. It's to keep your personal information private. So if they don't have your personal email, then no one's going to be able to steal it or share it. Don't give out any financial information unless you're sure you are on a legitimate site. And never pay any fees for a scholarship or for someone to find scholarships for you. Because when I am looking for scholarships, for my students, I'm Googling just like you are. All of that information is available on the web. If you want somebody to do the looking for you, I would suggest you hire a fellow student or a younger sibling to do that. It's going to be less expensive and probably more accurate. When you're applying, make sure you're applying for a scholarship and not a loan. If there's any mention of interest or repayment, that's a loan. Sometimes they look very similar. Be wary of scholarship seminars. They are often high pressure a high pressure sell. So they're kind of like timeshare seminars. They want you to hire them to do the Google search for you. You don't need to do that. And then watch for sites that try to pretend that they're a government agency. So things with federal, national, foundation. There is a site out there called FAFSA.com. FAFSA is the form that you fill out to apply for federal student aid. FAFSA.com charges you $60 to file your free application for federal student aid. You're filling out just like you would for free, but you have to give them $60. Make sure you're at FAFSA.gov, G-O-V, because this is a government program. Okay, beware of sweepstakes masquerading as scholarships. So this is an example of an email I got from Niche, a no essay college scholarship. But you have to create an account in order to apply. So basically what you're doing is you're giving them your contact information and permission to sell that information to colleges or other scholarship opportunities, or whoever they want to, honestly, in order for you to apply for this $2,000 no essay scholarship. The other thing is, so this is a sweepstakes really, not a scholarship. No different than doing the lottery. There are going to be millions of students who do this to apply for this no essay scholarship. Niche does have to award it. They do have to give somebody $2,000, but I guarantee you they're making way more than $2,000 selling your information. Okay? So beware. Any scholarship that is really easy to apply for, there are going to be lots and lots of people applying. A scholarship that is very targeted, very difficult to apply for, so it's got an application, needs letters of recommendation, you have to send in your transcript and your test scores and all of these kinds of things. A lot of students are going to just drop that by the wayside, right? Not worth my time. I actually had a student tell me once that he wasn't going to apply for any scholarship for less than $5,000 because it was not worth his time. So after I slapped him upside the head because he was my kid, um, we talked about how much more likely it is that he will get a local $500 scholarship than this $2,000 national, really easy to apply for scholarship. All right, Unigo scholarships. This is another sample of these fun and easy scholarships where you're competing against hundreds of thousands of students across the country. These are real scholarships. They really do award $1,500, $2,500 for a small essay, short paragraph. One of them, top 10 list, flavor of the month. So these are ways for Unigo to get your information. They do make you do one step further. They make you write about the zombie apocalypse or tell them a joke. Some of them are tweet this to all your friends, which means you're doing your marketing for their marketing for them. These scholarships are awarded. They have to be awarded, but again, you're competing against a huge number of students who will apply just because it's easy. There are a small number of free ride scholarships in the country. If you are a National Merit Scholar, you can get a free ride at some schools like Alabama and University of Oklahoma, I believe Utah as well. Coolidge Scholars, I mentioned. Evans Scholars is a scholarship program for golf caddies. So if you have a student that's interested in business, it's a really good idea to have them get a summer job as a caddy. Not only will they make really good contacts on the links and they'll learn about networking, but they also will become eligible for the Evans Scholars program, and that gives you a full ride to a certain number of schools in the area, including UW-Madison. JP Morgan Thomas Lebrecht Smart Start program is not just a full ride, it's also summer work at JP Morgan. The USDA's 1890 scholarship is great for students who are looking for work in the dairy industry. Jack Kent Cook is for freshmen and primarily transfers from community college. Microsoft offers an internship as well as the free ride. Regeneron is the same. Dr. Pepper is happy to give away money. Siemens, you've probably heard of, that's the big science fair, along with Intel, that give a lot of money for students. ROTC, technically a free ride scholarship plus a stipend to live on. But you then, you owe them a couple of years of your life. Similar with SMART, if you are on a SMART scholarship, they pay for everything. They give you a stipend, but then you need to work for the government for a couple of years to pay off that investment that the government has made for you. All right, completing the application. You need to understand yourself and your audience. This is true for writing essays for colleges as well as for scholarships. Judges and application officers are looking for effort. They're looking for passion, perseverance, initiative, teamwork. You're going to tell them a story. You're going to listen to what they're asking you for. I've been a judge for the Mensa Foundation scholarships for many years, and one year I had to disqualify a beautifully written essay about ziplining through Ecuador because it didn't address the prompt. We had asked, tell us about your academic and career goals, and ziplining through Ecuador was neither academic nor career. Nor was it a goal. It was something the kid had already done. So they ended up being disqualified. Look in your letters of recommendation, and this is similar for college as well. Anyone who's writing you a letter should know what they're writing for. You should tell them, I was hoping you could talk about my maturity or that extra project I did or that really cool conversation we had or how much I helped out Race for Life or whatever. And then give them a copy of your resume to remind them of your strengths. Some schools call this a brag sheet. But it's really just a copy of a resume, and your scholarship resume will work for this too because you've written down everything you've ever done. When you're writing both college application essays and scholarship essays, be very careful to write in active voice with strong verbs and adjectives, strong examples, but it needs to sound like a teenager wrote it. So I can tell immediately, college admissions officers can tell immediately when an adult has helped too much with an essay. So we don't want an essay that sounds like a 50-year-old woman wrote it. We want it to sound like a 17-year-old girl. Therefore, if you're helping a student with an essay, be careful not to take all of their personality out of it, because their personality is what the colleges are looking for and what the scholarship committees are looking for as well. Be sure to respect the word limit, highlight your strengths, make it interesting but not outrageous, and spelling, grammar, and organization, so very important. Again, the Mensa Foundation, one spelling, grammar, or organization issue is enough to get you disqualified from getting one of those scholarships. They're kind of very specific about that. But essays don't need to be, you don't need to write a brand new essay for every scholarship that you apply for. Make sure that you're not mentioning any particular program in the essay, just like you don't want to send a why I want to go to the University of Wisconsin essay to the University of Nevada. You don't want to send a why I want to be a Coolidge Scholar essay to the Evans Scholars, for example. Make sure that you know exactly where everything is going. Alrighty. So I was going to talk about RaiseMe. RaiseMe is a scholarship aggregator site, but different than FastWeb and CapEx and Unigo. RaiseMe allows you to see what types of scholarships you can get, or what kind of scholarship money you can get from RaiseMe partner colleges. And this is the merit aid that they would give you. So they call this micro scholarships. And what they've done with their members is they've sat down and said, all right, so you want, with this ACT score, how much money would you give them? With these grades, how much money would you give them? If they were on the basketball team for 2 years, how much money would you give them? And they have the college break all that stuff down. Therefore, when you go to RaiseMe and you create your profile and you put in, I've taken 4 years of English and I got A's in all of them, and I was in drama club for 2 years and I was the president, all of that information, which is basically a scholarship resume, all of that information gets collated by their database, and it will show you how much money you are likely to get from the college. So this screenshot is from a student of mine who has not filled out his profile yet, which is why he does not have any money here. But you can start working on RaiseMe from 9th grade on. It's good to update it every semester so you keep track of what you're doing. And this is going to be very helpful for you, not just in determining merit aid for members colleges, but also for keeping track of your scholarship or activities resume, right? So you're going to need a list of activities and how much time you used and all of your accolades and awards and honors. You're going to need all of that to fill out your college applications. You're going to need all of that for your brag sheet for your letters of recommendation. And you're going to need all that for your scholarship search. So RaiseMe is a really good way to, as you go along, keep track of all that information. This is a good thing actually for moms to do and dads, because the kids they're not used to keeping that kind of granular information. And it helps to get the kids interested too, because I see a lot of kids who say, well, we're not going to get any financial aid because we make too much money. Merit aid is for everyone. And so this merit aid is available to you no matter what. Okay, if you go to that college, you go to St. Thomas, and you say, okay, you said you were going to give me $5,000 in merit aid, and they go, oh yeah, well, you're a Raise Me kid, and we promised you $5,000, so here's your $5,000. Sometimes they give you more, but they cannot give you less. So we'll talk a little bit in a little bit about how to find out how much merit aid you're likely to get from a college, but this is one way, and it's kind of fun for the kids. When I was doing ACT prep, we would take a break and I'd have everybody sign in and start their Raise Me account, and you'd have kids go, I just won $13,000 for my ACT score, and I just won $500 for drama club, and it's really fun for the kids. Okay, so the primary source of college money will be your actual college. There are students out there who have gotten so many outside scholarships that they are paying completely for their college, but that is an ongoing job for them, right? So the student I'm thinking of works, she's a sophomore, she spends an hour a week looking for and applying for scholarships. And she's paying her way through a state college doing that. To find out before you even apply how much merit aid you are likely to get, and need-based aid actually, is to use the net price calculator on each college's website. By law, federal law, each college is required to have a net price calculator available on their website. Some schools like to hide it. You might have to search, but there will be a net price calculator there somewhere. And what the net price calculator does is you put in information, usually GPA, test scores, family income. Some of them are more complicated than others. And then it tells you, okay, well, your net price after any financial aid that we're going to give you, this is how much you can expect to pay. Often these come in the form of institutional grants. These are basically like tuition discounts. And don't be put off by the sticker price at a particular college, because the discount rate at small private colleges across the country last year was 50%. So that means a college that advertises their tuition is $40,000, most of its students are actually paying $20,000. Why do they advertise it as $40,000? Well, some kids are paying more. But if you can find a school where your discount is about 50%, you can be sure that you're getting a good deal from that school. Other things to check the financial aid website for are deadlines that are different than the application deadlines. Usually FAFSA is due at the same time you do your application. CSS profile, which is another financial aid form that's required by those highly selective colleges that meet full need. That's usually due also with your application. Sometimes there are earlier scholarship deadlines. So priority deadlines in November and December, even for state schools, if you're looking for merit aid from those state schools. Any scholarships that are available that require extra applications will be listed on the financial aid website. Be aware of those. Most of the institutional scholarships that you will get from your college, you don't require an extra application, but some of them do, and those are the big money ones, right? And then the scholarships available from individual departments often have require extra deadlines or extra information. So this is what a financial aid award letter looks like. First, I want to show you the tuition here at this school is $48,850, but the total cost of attendance is $59,000. So that's quite a bit. You'll see we've got almost $13,000 worth of room and board. We've got indirect costs. So these are things that you would pay out of your pocket for books and supplies and personal expenses. This is an estimate. You can save yourself a lot of money here by renting textbooks versus buying them, by not traveling back and forth every weekend. But be aware that what the net price calculator tells you is going to be your total cost of attendance, not just the tuition. Okay. Here we've got the grants and scholarships that this student earned. You see we've got it broken down to academic scholarship, robotics scholarship. I don't know how he got this. He was only in robotics for a month. Panther Fund grant. These are all institutional grants, so they're tuition discounts. The Florida Medallion Scholarship he earned, Florida Residence Access Grant he earned just for graduating from high school in Florida and having a minimum GPA. So that money is coming from the state of Florida, but the other three, the Panther Fund ones, are coming directly from the school that he was looking at. Institutional grants are one of the 4 types of financial aid that you will have access to. This covers federal Pell Grants. That's what you fill out the FAFSA for. FAFSA is the Federal Application for Student Aid. Federal Student Aid. Federal Application for Federal Student Aid. Free application for Federal Student Aid. My goodness. So federal Pell Grants, SEOG, and sometimes state grants are determined based on the estimated family contribution that is determined from the FAFSA. FAFSA is relatively simple now compared to what it was even a couple of years ago, so I don't want you to be afraid of the FAFSA. And then institutional need-based grants are based on your family's financial need. So we had been looking at merit grants. If your family does not have sufficient income so that you have a great deal of need, this is where that would come into.
Hey, Lessa?
Yeah.
This is Butch Hensley. I have a question. I was a little unclear about this when I went to the seminar at the Somerset School.
Sure.
Can you elaborate or reiterate on the FAFSA? There's a certain time you can do it and only that time. It's not something you can just do whenever you feel like it, right?
Basically, yes. So the FAFSA is open for a year. It starts in October 1, and that is for the upcoming year. So current juniors, class of 2019, will fill out their FAFSA October 1st of 2018 for the fall of 2019 start of college.
Okay.
So that year, the 2018-2019, well, we're currently on the 2017-2018 year. So if you fill out the FAFSA for 2017-2018, it's not going to help you because you. Could you do that? I'm sorry to interrupt, but just as an exercise, because I feel like now I have to wait until October to really know what they're, theoretically going to expect as a family contribution. I would go to FAFSA Forecaster.
Okay.
Okay. FAFSA #4 CASTER, and I believe that's .gov. If you go to FAFSA.gov, there will be a link on that first page to go to the forecaster as well.
Okay.
That's kind of like a net price calculator for the FAFSA. So it should give you an idea of what the estimated family contribution is.
Okay, great. That's what I need. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So institutional scholarships can be athletic scholarships. Be aware that 2% of high school students who are athletes play their sport at the college level, and only 2% of those students get any kind of money for being an athlete. The years of the full ride athletic scholarship are just about over. If you go to a D3 school, you're not allowed to get a scholarship for athletics. Some schools call them merit scholarships for other things. But you're really only allowed to get scholarships for athletics at a D1 or a D2 school. You can get academic and departmental scholarships. We talked about that a little bit. In-state versus out-of-state. So one of the things that public universities like to do is they grant in-state tuition to an out-of-state student, either for need or for merit. Some of them will do this for National Merit Scholars, for example. You can get grants for showing leadership. You can get grants for performing arts. You can get grants for being a legacy, so the son or daughter of an alum, or for having a sibling at that same school. Other special interest groups on campus might be the Campus Republicans might give a scholarship for a new student. And then there is the version of the Please Show Up grant. So, for example, my middle son went to Carthage College in Kenosha, and they're very, very generous with merit aid. And one of the things that they were doing is when the admissions rep comes to town to talk about financial aid, they said, if you come to this presentation, we'll draw a name, it's a sweepstakes, we'll draw a name and that person will get a $500 scholarship. And basically it's just a tuition discount. But they just wanted to entice you that much more to actually come and hear their presentation about financial aid. All right, automatic scholarships. So speaking of Carthage College, this is their grid for automatic scholarships. My favorite part here, it's an unlimited number. So anybody who applies and is accepted with a 21 ACT and a 2.75 GPA or better is getting $15,000 a year discount on their tuition. Goes all the way up to $21,000 a year. If you have a 30 ACT and a 3.5 GPA or better. These go to everyone who applies, okay? So these are the kinds of automatic scholarships that you will find looking at these small liberal arts colleges and some of the state colleges too. There are a number of them in South Dakota that offer automatic scholarships for certain test scores and GPA achievement. All right. Financial aid offices also offer competitive scholarships for these are Michigan State high achieving students, criteria specific scholarships. So these are the leadership and athletic and performing arts scholarships. They have specific scholarships for Michigan residents, and they also have specific scholarships for non-Michigan residents. I know for a fact that at Michigan State, the Raise Me scholarships are only for non-Michigan residents. They had a little trouble with that last year. But this is right off of their website. So going to the financial aid website should give you all of the information that you need for that particular school. This again is Michigan State. Be sure that you read through the directions for each of the scholarships. So for example, you can see here, invitations to compete in this intellectual performance competition are sent to the most outstanding students who apply for admission by November 1. Is that their deadline for admission? No. It's for the students that are paying attention and see, oh, wait, if I want to try this, I have to be in by November 1. And again, so this particular competition, by November 1, you get these scholarships, you get 20% of those scholarships, 20 of those, you get 30 of their finalists get $2,500, 65 get $1,500. It's a big deal, but it's a matter of knowing that this competition exists and when you need to apply for it. At the bottom here, you can see the National Merit Scholarship. In order to get that, you need to name Michigan State as your first choice institution. So if you say, well, I want to go to MIT first, and then I'll go to Michigan State second, you get nothing for National Merit if you list MIT first, even though you're still a National Merit Scholar. So it's important that you find out all of these little details. And then we want to talk a little bit about last dollar aid. So most colleges, that they figure your tuition after they've already subtracted, they figure how much they're going to contribute after they've already subtracted your EFC, what they expect the student to pay, and any outside scholarships. So MIT, Brown, and Columbia, assuming that their cost of attendance is $55,500, which it's not. They figure award amount. They decide, okay, the college is going to pay $50,000 of that. Student will pay $5,500. The student earns $5,500 in outside scholarships, and the college still pays $50,000. The student pays nothing. This is how we would expect it to work, right? But at last dollar colleges, even with a similar cost of attendance and a similar initial financial aid award, college pays $50,000, student pays $5,500. The student earns that $5,500 in outside scholarships, then the last dollar college refigures the award amount, because now you've got extra income, you've got extra assets. So they subtract that $5,500 from their contribution and increase the student's cost by $5,500. So student pays $44,500, college pays $44,500, student is now paying $11,000. Is that fair? No. The colleges argue that that way they can give as much money as possible to the greatest number of students. I get that, but it sure feels punitive. One way that you can avoid this problem at last dollar colleges is to not apply for financial aid at all. So that student that I was telling you about who has outside scholarships paying for her entire amount of tuition, that is extraneous from FAFSA. They haven't asked for any money from the college at all. All right, so we've got about 10 minutes left. I'm gonna push through a couple of these. These are the questions you want to ask. Make sure your scholarships are renewable for 4 years. Check to see how close you are to the next award tier. If I have to bump my ACT up 1 point, is it worth prepping? Yeah, I think it probably is to get to the next tier. Look at last dollar scholarships. For low-income families with really smart kids, there are a number of these highly selective schools that will allow you to go with no parent contribution. For incomes, $65,000 is about the average. They require no contribution from the parents if you have less than $100,000 in assets and $60,000 of income. They are not offering loans to the students. Typically, they have something that the student must contribute. MIT down here expects all students to pay at least $5,500. Yale wants parents to pay at least $10,000. And then they'll make up the difference if you are low income. Those of you who are in state, UW-Madison just 2 weeks ago announced that they will give free tuition, not free room and board, but free tuition to any in-state student whose family makes $56,000 a year or less. Yay for Madison. Okay, the work colleges are free for the most part, or they're at least tuition free. Students are expected to work during the school year, helping to run the school in order to pay for these. But they are tuition free. The important thing to do to minimize college costs is to be prepared. Highest test scores you have. Take strong classes, the hardest classes you can get, and do well in. Research your potential college major. Changing majors can add a couple of years to your college career, which means 2 more years of tuition and room and board. Research colleges. You don't want to change colleges because that always adds at least a year. Also research the colleges to find out who's going to give you the most money, right? Dual enrollment or a year or two at community college can save quite a bit of money. However, a lot of students who start out at community college start missing, they feel like they're not getting the college experience and like they may be missing out, and why are they paying money to basically live at home? So students who are able to go to community college, get their associate's degree, transfer to a four-year school, are way more likely to graduate in 4 years. However, that's only 17% of students who start community college planning to transfer to a four-year school. All right. And then I think we've got, yes, all these colleges I've been accepted to that my family can afford. Some acknowledgments. I wanted to mention that my junior senior college planning calendar is now available from Amazon. It's got tips and to-dos and week-by-week guidance for students from now until graduation day. It's kind of like having me sitting in your kitchen answering your questions, except you don't have to feed me. And then I offer a free personal consultation to everyone who wants one. We get an hour and I can answer your questions, and we can just kind of make sure that you're on the right path. If you want to schedule one of those, you can either call me, go through the website, or just go to bit.ly/60APPT, 60 appointment, and that will get you to my calendar. So let me stop sharing here and see if there are any other questions. You can put them in the chat, or you can unmute and let me know what questions you might have. Anybody?
Trying to unmute.
There you go.
I think we got it.
Okay. What's the question?
What? I don't have a question.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, that was good. What's your favorite color?
No.
My favorite color is purple.
Okay,
There you
good.
go.
Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. Does anybody else have a question they want to ask? I know that was a lot of information. This has been recorded. We're going to send you the recording so you can watch it as many times as you want. I'm happy to answer questions by email or by text or phone or whatever, because I know that this is kind of an overwhelming sort of situation. So looks like there aren't any other questions. So I'm going to say good night to everyone. Thank you for coming. And I appreciated talking to you again. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.